Welcome into another episode of Betting the Pitch. I'm your host, the real underscore G Warner. It is late night Thursday. Unfortunately, I gotta go in the office tomorrow, so I will be doing this live late night. Hopefully, getting the podcast out there tomorrow morning. So maybe that'll be better for all of you to get listening as soon as possible. Thank you for all the support as always. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe. If you're on Twitter, smash the follow button, the real underscore G Warner. If you're on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, please leave a 5-star review. And as always, all lines quoted in this podcast are courtesy of betonline.ag, my favorite place to get my bets down early. Reduced juices offered in almost every game you want to bet right up until game time. Please follow the link found in the podcast description to fund your account and use the promo code GW50 to receive a 50% match bonus up to $1,000. Also, I'll have a promo code for pregame.com if you're following me there. Appreciate all the support there as always. Basically, you can get all my leans and plays overnight as opposed to having to try to follow them and rush on Twitter day of minutes before the kickoff or right around there. So stay tuned for that. But as always, go through the top 5 European soccer leagues. Tons of European action this week. We'll zap some legs and hopefully we'll find us some winners on opponents of theirs. But I'll pick one of my favorites from each of the leagues, come up with an ultimate best bet, which will be on Instagram, also, of course, end of the podcast. So it's late, so we're going to get into it now. We'll start with the English Premier League. We have a Friday match, finally. Fulham host Wolves. Currently, Fulham a quarter goal favorite. Over-under is 2.25. This is my first time looking at lines, so we will all enjoy this fun together. So Fulham currently a quarter goal favorite at home. They have been playing really well, but missed under Alexander Mitrovic from last weekend and kind of hung on for dear life and somehow stole a win from Brighton on the road. Awesome setup. +1, never really in doubt. There was, I think, a couple goals overturned, but for this matchup, it's a little bit weird to see Fulham as a favorite. They haven't been a favorite for a while, it felt like to me, except when they're facing the worst teams in the league. I don't think that Wolves are one of those. Ever since they brought in Julian Lopetegui, they've been playing a lot better. They also brought in a lot of new players, and have been a lot more aggressive, physical, et cetera, et cetera. I expect that same sort of thing in this matchup on Friday. I like Wolves getting a quarter of a goal. It does feel like, unfortunately, I give a quarter for home field advantage in this sport, so it's not really a huge price on them whatsoever. Plus, it's very juiced right now, all the juice on the Wolves side. And then if you're not going the side there, then you look to the total into under 2.25. Pretty low number for a Fulham match. I think Mitrovic's status is going to be a big question for this one. So I'll probably lean to both Wolves and the under in this one, under 2.25. Wolves +1/4. I don't know necessarily what the lineup's going to look like. I haven't heard anything. I've been so busy in Europe that I haven't figured out exactly in England what's going on with Mitrovic, because I didn't really know who's not going to play. And then all of a sudden the +1 made a little bit more sense. But I still backed it anyway. Moving to Saturday, we have Everton hosting Aston Villa. Currently Everton a pick'em with all the juice right now, potentially climbing to a quarter goal favorite. If that happens, I am very interested in Aston Villa. They have been very all over the place. And unfortunately, that's not great to back. I think Unai Emery is eventually going to get control of this ship, but the defense has been sinking, that part of it. And I don't really know necessarily where that's going to change because he's usually such a defensive manager and it's not gone very well recently. They outplayed Arsenal for a lot of that match, somehow lost 4-2. Yes, 2 late goals ended up costing him, especially the late one when they had pushed Emi Martinez up forward to try to score an equalizer. Brutal. Fortunately, that didn't cost anybody money, though. The previous goal, that was a big deflection, if I remember correctly, did. So that's tough. Aston Villa trying to figure out what they are, what they're going for, what they're shooting for. They spent a lot of money on their side, but in their team, but didn't really work out for Steven Gerrard. Ollie Watkins has been great lately. That's something I didn't expect to say. Whereas Everton are fighting relegation. They're in the thick of it. They're going to have a huge crowd support behind them. That's big. Sean Dyche is not going to try to win matches, though. He's going to try to grind out results, 0-0s, and get a header late. I don't think that's going to work often or very regularly. I'll put it that way. It did work in his debut match against Arsenal, but I wouldn't expect that more. And so Everton, if they move to a favorite, I start to really like Aston Villa even more. Over in this one's 2.25, very juiced to the under. I think that speaks to the brand of football that Dice is going to play with Everton until he's sacked, which I imagine he'll be there the rest of the season. I like under 2.25 as well as I like Aston Villa. I probably like Villa more if they move to that underdog, but at this current setup, I think I like Villa under 2.25 at the most. Leeds then hosts Southampton. Currently Leeds a half a goal favorite. All the juice on Southampton on the road. Over unders 2.5, very juicy the under. This one probably hits 2.25. I mean, Southampton with a huge upset victory against Chelsea last weekend. Not sure a lot of people expected that one. But it happened. I pinched myself. It occurred. Leeds, on the other hand, don't really know what they're doing. I don't think they know what they're doing. They got to the Premier League and stayed in it under Bielsa, but that was not really a game plan you can play with capable other teams. They're in a relegation fight, as are Southampton. Southampton with those huge 3 points. I feel like that momentum is big. Leeds still trying to figure out who they are, and that's a big problem, especially as a half a goal favorite. So I like Southampton getting that half right now. Also lean to under 2.5 because Leeds aren't playing the same way they were previously, and I like that for unders because I don't really think they have a lot of goals in their team, honestly. Leicester then hosts Arsenal. Currently, Leicester a 3/4 goal underdog at home. Over unders 2.75, juice to the over. This is one of the few matches y'all probably talk about today where I don't have an underlean. Leicester's defense is just not trustable. Their offense was not very good, at least at finishing against Manchester United last weekend. They got in a great spot. They had a +1 next to their name. I thought, I mean, I'll make that bet a lot of times. And they controlled a lot of the early stages of the match and then lost 3-0. So that was pretty disappointing. The nice part is they got that out of the way. And they'll probably be pretty disappointed for Arsenal now visiting Leicester as opposed to going on the road to Old Trafford and Manchester. That's a big difference. So I lean to that Leicester getting 3/4 of a goal. I think they can easily rain rain on the Arsenal parade. I think Arsenal are probably a team I want to go against going forward the rest of the year. They got the pressure of winning the league. No one's really done this before. Arteta's never done it before as his own manager leading the way. So I'm most interested in being against Arsenal as I can going forward. We'll see what the opportunities are. Certainly, I would love a +1 here as opposed to 3/4. I think Leicester's poor result on the scoreboard probably will give us a little bit of flexibility in that number when it comes out. So I'm looking to see if it climbs to +1. I do like the 3/4 right now. And I think I like anything over 2.75, anything below that 3. Once it hits that 3, I think my interest will fade. But there we go for that one. Next, we'll go West Ham, Nottingham Forest. West Ham currently a 3/4 goal favorite. All the juices on Nottingham Forest right now. Over unders 2.25. West Ham with a really poor performance on the road at Tottenham. I'm not sure that's a huge derby. It seems like it's talked about like it is. I'm not sure it's because neither of those teams are the biggest rivals that they have. But West Ham looking like is David Moyes still the manager? Is he alive on the sideline? Like what he does just doesn't work. And it's amazing that they made it into Europe, but I think that was because the Premier League was in such shambles. Nottingham Forest, Stevie Cooper, I trust that manager. I don't trust David Moyes whatsoever, other than to not score goals. So that makes me like Nottingham Forest getting 3/4 of a goal. Yes, it also makes me like that under 2.25, a low number in the Premier League, but I like them both. I haven't done a lot or haven't had a lot of success recently betting dog and under in same matches. Some of them have been brutal losses, some of them deserved. But neither way do I feel good about West Ham beating me and scoring a lot of goals. So it's very likely split. I think there could potentially win both. I think 0-0 is very possible here. Nottingham Forest are going to go play defense. West Ham don't want the ball. It's a really good setup for both under and Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth then hosts Manchester City. Bournemouth a 1.75 goal underdog at home. Over under is 3. That's a ginormous number. Bournemouth, got a huge win last week against Wolves. Not certainly this is a step up in competition here, but that was awesome for them and huge for them to try to stay in the league. It's hard for me to ever want to play City unders because they have so much talent in their squad, but they did just go to Leipzig. They controlled the first half of a Champions League match and then completely sat back and defended the second one, trying to like escape with a 1-0 victory. I don't really know what's going on in the Pep camp right now. The Man City offense has not been great with Erling Haaland, despite that huge signing everyone thought was going to work, and he had scored so many goals early in the year. But I think people know how to defend him now, and it's been pretty easy. Bournemouth got to the league, got to the Premier League, got promoted from playing a counterattacking style. They're going to play exactly the way they want to. They have a huge crowd behind them that will be very intense for this match. A draw is probably all that Bournemouth could ever dream of. I think with the heavily juiced Bournemouth right now, I'm not sure it'll climb to +2. But that would be certainly something I'm interested in, especially with a really fairly low total for a Man City game at only 3 to get +2 in a soccer match would be crazy. But I think the under 3 also is worth a look as well. I think Man City clearly can turn it on, but we'll see what happens with Kevin De Bruyne if he's healthy and returns to the team. He probably will, but even then, has kind of looked off it lately, and I'm not even sure you get 90 minutes out of him, maybe 60, maybe 30. Not sure that's a great sign for Man City, especially after I think what was a pretty disappointing result midweek. Also, they blew a 1-0 lead at Nottingham Forest last weekend. So or at home against Nottingham Forest, I think. So it's not going great for Man City right now. And I like being against teams in crisis. Relative, of course, because they're still in Champions League in a good position to move through as a big favorite, but things aren't going great. Last but not least, on Saturday, we have Crystal Palace hosting Liverpool. Palace, a 3/4 goal underdog at home. Over-unders 2.5, juice to the over. Crystal Palace, I just don't trust. They were so good at home last season. It hasn't been the same year for them this year. They're kind of sneakily around the relegation discussion. I feel like no one's really safe at this point if you're in the bottom half of the table. Liverpool with a great start against Real Madrid, falling off a big win with a great start also against Newcastle. But then they gave up 5 goals. And that's a really bad situation for Liverpool to walk into. I don't think that they're at all playing defensively, though. So it makes under 2.5 feel like a big risk. I don't know that I necessarily want to take the 3/4 in Crystal Palace either, though, I must say. So I don't really know where to go with this one, and probably we'll move on from here. Moving to Sunday, we've got a lot of weird stuff going on, I guess, because there's a cup match, I want to say. On Sunday, I think the Carabao Cup, EFL Cup final, so I might as well talk about that one, though I probably didn't make a line for it. Maybe I did weeks ago. Things have clearly changed with Nick Pope being suspended, all that sort of stuff. But Tottenham currently a pick-em to Chelsea right now at home, with all the juice on the Tottenham side. Over-unders 2.5. Who scores in this matchup? Definitely leaning to under in this one. I think Chelsea as a move to an underdog also become fairly interesting, but they're not there yet. They are getting odds at pick'em, but as an underdog, I'm talking about getting a 1/4 of a goal. Anytime I can be against Tottenham as a favorite, especially with a good team, I think is something I'm interested in. But Chelsea also, they keep losing matches they shouldn't. And the Southampton loss was, worse than the Dortmund one, but they controlled both those matchups and somehow lost both of them. Graham Potter's, I guess, dead man walking, but still around. Wonder when that's going to change. But the American ownership just keeps embarrassing itself, and the team really does in general. So lean to under in that one. I don't really know that I believe either of these teams can combine for 3 goals. It just seems really unlikely. Chelsea are going to be cautious going forward. Tottenham are going to sit back, and that doesn't sound like 3 goals to me. Very juicy under right now, though. And then, so I'll see if I can pull up a line for the Carabao Cup. Let's hope that the final at Wembley Stadium. Please tell me it's here. Okay, it's here. Sunday, February 26th. We have Manchester United a 1/4 goal favorite right now, over under 2.5 to Newcastle. Newcastle with a really tough matchup. Fell behind early on 2 really great plays by Liverpool. And then Nick Pope gets suspended for a League Cup match, despite it being a Premier League match. Crazy that suspension carries over. Big concerns with goalkeeping for Newcastle. Certainly, Manchester United coming off a pretty serious competition with Barcelona to get through to the next round of the Europa League. Hilarious that both those teams were in that competition and that we got them in the round of 16. But UEFA never does anything underground, behind closed doors, blah blah blah, making sure that matchup happened. I think Newcastle, their defense is the only thing I can back here. Don't trust them to score. Don't trust them to beat Manchester United. I think they'll really struggle the Manchester United press as well. I guess I lean to under 2.5, but I don't know how you can trust, because they have to play a third string goalkeeper apparently, because Dubravka had already played for Manchester United in the cup, so I don't think he's able to play. I think he's cup tied, as they would say. So not really sure where to go with that one. For my best bet for England, though, I'm going to stay in that match where I like both side and total. I'm going to go Nottingham Forest under 2.25 goals. I just don't think West Ham is very likely to score more than one, maybe one. And I feel like that works really well for an underplay, and also the Nottingham Forest side. Now I'll move to Spain. Got my Real Sociedad shirt on. First match and I went to in Europe, and it was awesome. Highly recommend San Sebastian if you have not been, though you better speak Spanish, because English is by far the third language there, and I learned that the hard way. So we start on Friday with Elche hosting Real Betis. Elche half a goal underdog at home, over unders 2.25. Elche in disaster situation. They're kind of unbackable for me. They've been playing better, but they are so far adrift trying to come up from bottom in La Liga, and unfortunately hosting Real Betis is probably a match they want to get points in, but they can't leave their shell. They have to defend. That's not going to put any pressure on the Real Betis defense, which definitely has some problems. Unfortunately, I've kind of learned not to even look at unders with Elche either, because they really struggle to keep the ball in the back of the net, because they make big mistakes. They have really like lead-footed defenders that aren't very good. They have a tiny goalkeeper. I guess if anything, I'll lean to the Elche under 2.25, but I don't know that there's anything there that I really want to play on Friday. Moving to Saturday, we have Espanyol hosting Mallorca. Currently Espanyol a quarter goal favorite. Over under is 1.75, juice to the over. We're seeing totals below 2 still, because no one scores goals in this league really. Mallorca, I mean, a huge win. They've struggled on the road. They say it in their post-game interviews. They need to get better. Got a really big win against Villarreal last weekend, scored 4 goals. That's like their monthly total probably. So I don't expect them to do anything like that again. But Espanyol pulling one out at the end in their last match, I believe, with a winner late. Jose Lu's been injured, and unfortunately they don't have much offense without him. So pretty interested in that under, but I don't want to play anything less than 2, considering the VAR, handballs, ridiculous penalties that are given, especially La Liga refs. Strongest lean right now is Mallorca getting that quarter of a goal. Cadiz then hosts Rayo Vallecano. Currently Cadiz a pick'em right now at home. All the juice on Rayo's side as we speak. Over under is 2, so that's very low. I guess I lean to that under 2, and I mean, would love to see Rayo as an underdog, but that would require the juice to completely flip. So I don't think that's going to happen. But Rayo are going to go there to counterattack. They're the better team, but they're not going to change their style. Cadiz are going to not want the ball either. It's going to be, you have it, no, you have it, no, you have it. How do we get to 3 goals? I think it's going to be hard to do. But I'll be waiting to see if maybe we can squeeze out a quarter of a goal to get like to 2.25 or something like that. Not sure that I want to back Cadiz, even if Rayo go on the road as a favorite, because I don't really like that position for them. Next one, we have a big Madrid Derby de Madrid derby. Real Madrid hosting Atleti. Currently Real Madrid a half a goal favorite with all the juice. Over unders 2.5. Atleti, they've been playing better. They've been stealing results. John Oblak's been playing great. I think if anything in this one, I don't want to go back Atleti on the road at Real Madrid. Yes, they did spend a ton of energy coming back from 2-0 behind to win 5-2 at Anfield of all places. But while Atleti sat at home because they're out of all European competitions. But Real Madrid have owned the series even when Atleti were winning the league, I feel like. And I don't know. I'm not switching sides and all of a sudden backing Atletico Madrid. They are a team that I like to be against as a favorite. I don't see that stopping. But I do have some interest in that under 2.5. I feel like, Benzema getting rested for the match against Osasuna makes me think that he might not be a guaranteed start here. Without him, the Real Madrid offense is like nothing. Coming off 5 goals, I feel like this total probably edged up a little bit more than it should have. Atleti are going to try to defend. They're playing pure Simeone ball right now, like 1-0 finals is what they want. I think that might happen in the Real Madrid area, and we'll see what happens late. But getting to 3 goals seems really tough in this one. Valencia then hosts Real Sociedad, hence the shirt, in the nightcap on Saturday. Valencia, quarter goal underdog at home right now with all the juice, which makes a little sense to me based on Valencia now, I think, sitting second bottom, only propped up by Elche, who didn't win for, I think, the first 20 match days or something. Valencia are in big trouble. Over-under is 2.25 in this one, juice to the under. Valencia's defense has been bad for years. Their offense has dried up. They've sold too many players. And they are in real danger, I think. I don't really want to deal with the Valencia defense right now, but I do think that that's kind of where they're seeing themselves as their way to make hay in this league, because they know they can't outscore anybody. Real Sociedad's probably not going to, I would think Real Sociedad go on the road and keep a clean sheet. Over under team total for Valencia right now is a half, minus 200, so 1-2 on the over. So I don't know that if I saw a +1, I'd be very interested, but I doubt that's even going to be offered. Real Sociedad defense has been legit. Their offense has left a little to be desired. They do have some players that could do it. I think the biggest question is, can you trust Valencia to defend if you're going to go under in that one? Moving to Sunday, Athletic Club hosting Girona. Currently, Athletic Club, a 3/4 goal favorite. Over-under is 2.5. Very juicy the under. That's a really high total, I got to say. I like Girona getting 3/4 of a goal. I certainly would like them to get more than that. +1 would be really nice, especially because the juice is leaning to the Athletic Club as we speak. I don't trust Athletic Club to score. The Bilbao team in San Mamés, it's a huge cathedral, but they don't score enough goals there. Maybe they play well, but if you don't score, it's hard to win games. And Girona, I mean, they were a big favorite on Friday last week, smashed my Almeria play, and it was not close from the start. I don't know that that's necessarily a Girona thing. I think that's more an Almeria thing, and I'm looking to potentially go against them as much as possible coming up. But I think Girona can hang with Athletic Club. They know that they're newly promoted. They're going to go in there and try to defend. I like the 3/4 of a goal that we see right now. Hope for a +1, but also like that under 2.5, which seems really high for La Liga total, because I mean there aren't many of those. Celta Vigo then hosts Valladolid. Celta, a 3/4 goal favorite. Over under with a little more juice on the Celta side at home. Over under is 2.25. Also similar juiced, slightly to the over. It's interesting to see that because Valladolid have been playing really well lately. Had a really tough result against Betis with a loss last weekend. But unfortunately, all good things come in. Good streaks do end every once in a while. But Celta, they've been playing a lot better, but I just can't trust them to score goals. They used to be an all-offense team. Their defense, it seems like, it has improved. Their offense was doing better as they were climbing up the table, because they were in relegation talks and kind of still are, but a couple wins will get you out of that pretty quickly in this league. Valladolid, I think, can be really competitive. They're looking a lot better to stay in the league as well, which is something I'm hoping for, because they are, to me, they probably the in this league at least the best for me to bet on of any team, I think. I like them to be very competitive here. I like the 3/4 of a goal. I like the under 2.25. Looks like it's probably not hitting a 2 before it kicks off. So that's good news for me. I think a 1-1 is very possible here, or even less goals. And I like Valladolid to potentially even pull an upset on a Celta side that aren't really scoring. Almeria, who I just mentioned, can't defend. They host Barcelona, 1.25 goal underdog at home. Over under is 3. I'm not backing Almeria until their defense is clearly showing that it's better. Barcelona is super deep. They're definitely going to be a little bit undermanned based on playing. We saw Lewandowski hurt his abdomen, core, it looked like, maybe hip, oblique, something like that, taking a penalty, which was not deserved, but welcome to my life. With the Manchester United to advance ticket, seeing a soft penalty given up by Bruno Fernandes is hilarious, but it happens. Over under is 3. I think I lean over, if anything. Almeria have not shown they can defend for a long time now, unfortunately. And the nightcap on Sunday, Sevilla hosting Osasuna. Currently Sevilla, a 0.5 goal favorite. Over under is 2.25. Juice to the under. A little more juice on Sevilla right now at home. Osasuna haven't really been scoring, unfortunately. They do get to catch Sevilla off of what was a tighter Europa League second leg after a dominant 3-0 performance in the first. I think they advanced on a 3-2 aggregate score, lost 2-0 today, and a bunch of goals that were annulled, especially coming off Luke de Jong, former Sevilla player, who was definitely not quiet about celebrating, which is kind of funny. If anything, I lean to under 2.25 here. I just don't expect Osasuna to bring much offense. I think they're going to be defensive like they were against Real Madrid. Their defense has been playing well, even though they haven't had their full complement of players. They got a little bit healthier for Real Madrid last weekend, but we're still playing Moncayola, a midfielder, at right back, and I think that cost them one of the goals that really cost them the match. Last but not least is on Monday, we have Villarreal hosting Getafe. Currently, Villarreal, a 3/4 goal favorite with almost all the juice right now. Over-unders 2.25, juice to the under. I don't know where Villarreal lay this price. Their manager, Kike, whatever his name is, was like an auto fade guaranteed like money in my betting account when he was the manager at Barcelona. Things were going bad there, of course, but things have gone really bad for Villarreal. Once Unai Emery left, they sold off a bunch of their pieces. I think it's like a really I'm looking to bet against Villarreal as much as possible. Being favored on the road at Mallorca was a joke. But being favored by 3/4 of a goal to Getafe, who are going to fight and claw for every inch of this pitch, especially coming off a win. Getafe have not looked good, but I like that 3/4 of the goal, and I like the under 2.25. Both look really great to me. So I feel like Villarreal, you can't trust them to win. The only wins they get are when they get 2 penalties and in like 8 minutes of stoppage time that goes 11. So I don't trust them whatsoever. And my ultimate best bet for this episode for Spain, I'm gonna go with the Real Valladolid under 2.25. I feel like that's where I want to be right now. Like the dog, like the under, and both. And that generally points to something that I hope will be profitable long term. Now I'll move to Italian Serie A. We have 2 matches, and these are on Saturday. Empoli hosting Napoli. Currently, Empoli a 1.25 goal underdog at home. Over/unders 2.75. Juice to the over slightly. Napoli coming off a really dominant performance. I don't know how a handball wasn't called in like the 3rd minute, which would have completely changed the match. But Napoli got away with it and got a really big win, are in really good shape for Champions League to get through Eintracht Frankfurt. And Empoli got to rest and watch, which is good for them. Lean to Empoli as a home dog. This is a Saturday match, Saturday afternoon, I guess, here in the U.S. I don't know that I really want to get in the way of the Napoli train, though, I got to say. So Empoli have been playing better and are competitive and can make this a tough one, but Napoli are just not a train I want to get in the way of at this point. Lecce then hosts Sassuolo in the nightcap on Saturday. Lecce, a pick'em right now with all the juice, which is a little bit puzzling to me. I don't know where that necessarily comes from, considering how well Sassuolo have been playing. Over-unders 2.25 in this one. Sassuolo are an offense team. Lecce don't score very much, so I don't know necessarily that I have a strong lead on the total, but definitely looking for Sassuolo to climb to a 1/4 goal. It looks like it might get there. Moving to Sunday, Bologna hosts Inter Milan. Currently, Bologna a 3/4 goal underdog. Over/under is 2.5. Juice to the under. I don't trust Bologna to score. They had a ridiculous saved a penalty, then scored late to kill one of my double bets last weekend with a side in total Sampdoria against them. That was brutal, but Bologna are a team I've been betting against for a while. Inter, I had success going against this week. They stole a win against Porto thanks to a pretty ridiculous red card, but welcome to officiating, and it's so bad it drives me insane. But I do think that until Bologna get a full goal, I'm not really interested. I don't really want to play unders with Inter because they score goals, even though they don't deserve them, it seems. They're almost like an Atleti club for me that I just love to be against them. I've had much better success against Atleti than I have against Inter, however. Salernitana then a 1/4 goal underdog at home to Monza. Over/unders 2.5. And I lean to Salernitana because I think Monza, they're going to go for it. They're going to try to score, but they really struggle to at times. They're not playing a good side like Milan this time, though. They're playing Salernitana, who has not been very good for a while now. That's going to make it harder, but I don't know that Monza deserve to be a favorite on the road right now. That seems a little bit expensive to me, and especially one that might climb to half of a goal before this kicks off. I also, I guess, leaned under 2.5 as well. Very juicy under, though, and I don't know if that will necessarily stick around. But I feel like the problematic road favorite is something that I think is one of the best bets or one of the best things to fade in sports betting. So very interested in Salernitana, that they certainly aren't a prom queen at this point. Udinese then hosts Spezia. Currently Udinese a 3/4 goal favorite. Very juiced right now, so likely climbing to 1. Over/under is 2.5. Juice the over. Spezia sacked their manager or Luca Gotti quit or something like that. Don't really know the specifics behind it, but that's a big deal because I thought he was molding them and playing better. I don't know. He's a tough guy to work with or something like that. Udinese have not played well. They played decently, I thought, against Inter and still lost 3-1. Didn't even cover a 2-goal spread. I don't really see them deserving of being a big favorite. So Spezia, if they can hit one, that would be delightful. I also don't know that I trust Udinese to score a ton of goals right now either. So I think under 2.5 makes some sense. We'll see if it hits +1 by the time it gets there. Milan then host Atalanta on the nightcap Sunday. AC Milan, a quarter goal favorite right now, over unders 2.5, juice to the over. Atalanta have been playing really well, but I'm not sure they've been getting exactly the results when I seem to back them that I was hoping for. Also, a quarter goal underdog at Milan basically means they are equal, and that's tough to say, tough to believe, tough for a lot of things. I just that doesn't give me a lot of value on the underdog, I gotta say, because a draw only wins me half of a unit. I don't know if that's enough for me right there. Lean to the over, very juiced at 2.5, but I mean, that makes sense because they're two pretty good offenses in this one. Moving to Monday, we have Verona host Fiorentina. Currently, Verona a quarter goal underdog at home, over unders 2.25. They've been playing a lot better. Didn't get a great result against Roma, but Roma was pretty motivated off of a loss in the Europa League. I think where I sit with Verona right now, I'm still looking to back them. I think the under here more than anything. Fiorentina had to play a midweek match, so basically they were already through in the Conference League after a big first leg result against Braga. I like Verona at home. I think I like that under 2.25 better than I like the quarter of a goal that they're getting, though I don't really trust Fiorentina. I do think they're better, though, and Verona had a really quick run off of out of the break, but we'll see if they can keep it up. Nightcap on Monday is Lazio hosting Sampdoria. Currently, Lazio a 1.25 goal favorite. Over under is 2.5. A lot of juice in Sampdoria on the road, and also to the under 2.5. Depends if you believe in Lazio scoring. They had to play Conference League as well. Feels like Serie A is all over the Conference League this year. Not a great sign for their future, but or their present. I don't know that Sampdoria are a team I really want to back right now. They got a really great clean sheet, goalless draw against Inter, but still showed some big problems. And I don't necessarily think that they really have a good handle on what's going on there. If anything, I lean to under 2.5 in this matchup. Moving to Tuesday with Cremonese hosting Roma. Cremonese a 3/4 goal underdog at home, over unders 2.25, slightly juiced to the under. Cremonese with a big win finally. And I guess they beat Roma in the cup, knocked them out shockingly. So there might be some extra motivation here for Roma, though Roma had a big match at Salzburg, or at home against Salzburg, to try to get through the Europa League. So there's probably some questions. I know Dybala had a big fall. Who knows what his groin or adductor or whatever they call it is what that looks like. Cremonese are tough to back, though, I think, until you get a +1. Not interested for me. And last but not least, big rivalry in Torino. We have Juventus hosting Torino. Juve with a really good result today against Nantes. Angel Di Maria is on fire, probably the hottest goal scorer in all of, besides Osimhen, I guess. That's probably one that's hotter. Or Kvaratskhelia, you could say, as well, from Napoli as well. There are some good Italian teams playing well right now. Unfortunately, they're playing in only Napoli are really doing much in the biggest competition of them all. Anyway, Juve, a 3/4 goal favorite right now. All the juice on Torino on the road. Over unders 2.25, slightly juiced the under. I like under in this one. I think Torino, until they get a +1, I don't think I'm interested in them. They do a lot with the ball, but never seem to be able to score, and that's going to make it too hard, I think, for me to want to back or get too closely involved. I think like Juve, I mean, they didn't even play their full lineup today. It didn't matter on Di Maria. They rested Chiesa. Vlahovic didn't start. Didn't seem to matter. They did play a pretty banged up Nantes team, and then a crazy red card after an awesome, one of the goals of the weekend or week or years, really, from Di Maria to open up the scoring early. That's exactly how Juve want it to happen. Di Maria got a hat trick late. He's probably guaranteed to start this weekend. That's a good thing for them. They get a few days off playing Tuesday, so that's huge as well. Torino's probably pissed about that, but them's the breaks in Italia, even though apparently they're trying to keep Juve out of Champions League places for next year with 15-point deductions. I don't know. We'll see where that all goes. But I think for my best bet for Italy, I'm gonna go with the Spezia under 2.5. Get plus money right now. I like that idea. I think Spezia are still a live dog. I don't really believe in what I've seen from Udinese for a while now. So that's my lean for, or my best bet for Serie A. Now we'll move to the German Bundesliga. We do have a Friday match. Mainz 05 hosting Borussia Mönchengladbach. Currently, Mainz a quarter goal favorite at home right now with all the juice. That's pretty surprising to me. Over unders 2 3/4, slightly juiced the over. Crazy match that they played in the last one against against Leverkusen. But Leverkusen have a lot of problems, so I wouldn't read too much into that. Gladbach looking like they might climb to half of a goal underdog seems gigantic. I mean, tough for them to come off a win against Bayern Munchen, but they do it all the time. Gladbach want to go on the road. They want to give you the ball and counterattack. I don't think Mainz necessarily want that either. So it also makes me feel like under 2 3/4 sounds like a lot. This has been a really high scoring league, I must say. So it's not worked very well for my under tendencies. But Gladbach are one of the best on set pieces. I feel like they can cause problems for Mainz. And Mainz just really aren't a good favorite to me. I mean, they're sitting 12th on the table before this last match. Did help the rest of the league played. So maybe they're like 9th or 10th in an 18-team league. I mean, there's not Gladbach I think are better, have more talent. So seeing them as a quarter goal underdog climbing to a half most likely seems ginormous to me, unless there's a huge bug going through Mönchengladbach. I believe in Jonas Omlin as their new goalkeeper. I think he's good. So I like that side quite a bit. Moving now to Saturday, we have Hertha Berlin hosting Augsburg. Currently, Hertha a quarter goal favorite with all the juice right now at home. Over unders 2 3/4, juice the under slightly. I've learned not to play unders with Hertha. They are a shell defensively. And I got to say, Augsburg, not the same road team as they are at home, but they just keep winning home matches. Going against Hertha as a favorite is something that's really hard for me to resist. There's not a lot of opportunities to do it. This might be one of the last this season. Hertha look like a team that are going down. They've been playing better. They have a collective spirit. Their manager is still there because I think they're getting good performances out of their team. But I'm not impressed, and I think I'll pay to see them win. Hertha, sorry, that was the last one. Werder Bremen then hosts VfL Bochum. Currently, Werder Bremen a half a goal favorite at home. Over unders 2 3/4. Juiced to the road team Bochum and also to the under 2 3/4. Werder Bremen have been pretty disappointing lately, I gotta say. Newly promoted, so maybe my expectations got too high. They're very efficient with creating chances, scoring goals from few chances, which also is probably something that might dry up as we get longer into the season. The nice part is Bochum don't defend very well. They've been really bad, especially on the road at preventing goals. I don't necessarily think that that's something that changes here. Werder Bremen have a really good two-headed monster up top. They don't have a lot more. Bochum, they ride the crowd and they don't have it here. So that's going to be a big problem for them. I don't think I have any interest in the side or the total in this one. Leipzig then hosts Eintracht Frankfurt, both coming off Champions League midweek. Leipzig, a 3/4 goal favorite with most of the juice right now. Over unders 2 3/4 juice to the over. I'm very interested to see if Eintracht Frankfurt move to to a full goal of insurance. I don't know that it'll get there, but that does interest me quite a bit. Union closed at 3/4, and I feel like Union and Eintracht are not very different in the power rankings of the Bundesliga at this point. Leipzig with a really good performance, Eintracht with a really poor one. And the nice part is Colomani definitely is playing after getting a red card and seeing suspension in UCL. I think he's going to be pretty motivated. Leipzig with a pretty ugly first half, but then really dominated the second half, got a goal and a header, and are in great position to potentially steal an advanced result if they go to the Etihad and somehow knock off Man City. I don't think that's likely to happen, but they got as much as they could want, and I feel like they'll probably be a lot happier as a team, certainly more confident as a team than Frankfurt will after a really tough result against Napoli. But I like the Eintracht Frankfurt way. They are going to counterattack you. They have great pieces to do that. I don't know that I trust the Leipzig offense to score that efficiently. They certainly have goal scorers. They have a good plan, good manager, good crowd support. They play really well at home. But I'll be looking out for that +1 if it pops. Next, we'll go Hoffenheim hosting Borussia Dortmund. Currently, Hoffenheim a 3/4 goal underdog. Over under is 3. And Dortmund are tied for the league lead right now. This is where they usually fall apart, and Bayern starts just rallying off results, winning results at that. Hoffenheim is a great team to play. They have no real crowd, it seems. Why would they have it now? They've been playing so poorly. Dortmund, their defense doesn't necessarily look better, but their offense has been producing. And Hoffenheim are in a real dangerous spot right now. Looking like from what was a European position early in the season to now fighting relegation is a huge change. I think I leaned to over 3 in this one, but I don't trust Hoffenheim to score. Cologne then hosts Wolfsburg. Currently Cologne a quarter goal favorite at home. Over unders 2.5, juice to the over. I'm interested in Wolfsburg getting a quarter of a goal right now on the road. They haven't really been playing great lately either, unfortunately. A lot of these teams that were darlings of mine earlier, and maybe a tough last week is a good explanation of my darlings that have been struggling. But Cologne, they're going to be on the front foot. They're going to press. They're going to try to attack the whole time. But I don't really know that I trust their goal scorers. Pretty poor result last weekend. Could say the same for Wolfsburg, but I think that was at home against Leipzig, which is a lot more not a lot easier to explain. And Wolfsburg couldn't create anything offensively, so of course their defense was going to fall apart eventually. I don't know necessarily that I trust Stefan Baumgart more than I trust Niko Kovac. I feel like Kovac has done more in his career. I think he's got a better team, more financially. I think there's more in the Wolfsburg area right now than there is in Cologne, because Cologne have recently been just always in the relegation mire. It seems like a pretty big number, but it's very juiced right now. I wouldn't be shocked if this fell to pick 'em, and that might keep me from getting involved. The nightcap on Saturday is Schalke 04 hosting VfB Stuttgart. Certainly not the biggest names, but I mean, big clubs that are both potentially in relegation fights. Currently Schalke quarter goal underdog at home. Over under is 2.25. Juice to the over. That's probably because Stuttgart, I mean, even Labadia, their manager, said they can't defend, which is an incredible thing to come out and say about your team. But he's like, we're only going to play shootouts from now on. The nice part is Schalke, I don't think have scored in a long time, and they seem to play goalless draws over and over and over again. That's what they're going to be doing here. That's what they're going to be putting their team out there to do. I'm looking to be against Stuttgart as much as possible. They had a good result last weekend, but I'm not a believer. I like the Schalke getting a quarter at home. It's very juiced, so it might evaporate or disappear by the time this kicks off. But under 2.25 looks there, and that's been something that's been bringing the money in each time, I think, in the last month or so, it feels like. So lean to under 2.25 there. Scary with Stuttgart and their lack of a defense, but I don't know that Schalke can do really enough to challenge them too much. Maybe a set piece, an odd counterattack somewhere, and then they just hold on for dear life and keep Stuttgart out. But I do like that it points to both home underdog and under in that matchup. Moving to Sunday, Sports Club Freiburg hosts Bayer Leverkusen. Currently, Freiburg a quarter goal favorite at home, a little bit more juice. Over unders 2.75, juice to the under. Leverkusen with a huge comeback win in extra time, though, on the road at Monaco. That's going to be hard for them to come back from. I'll put it that way. I lean to the under 2.75 here. Don't really see Freiburg. I mean, I don't know really how they do it at this point. They score a ton of goals without really a lot of great talent. They sell off their best players. Their defense has really been a stronghold for them for a couple seasons now, but they're going to get a pretty tired Leverkusen side. I don't know the status of Diaby, but they're pretty banged up Leverkusen side as well. Pretty good spot for Freiburg to win this handily, which unfortunately does make me a little bit worried about an underlean. But I think Leverkusen might just no-show offensively. Problem is they don't really defend very well, so that's going to be a tough setup there, I'll admit. And last but not least, the big one versus 3 in the table right now, because Dortmund ended up taking their second in goal differential. But Union Berlin on the road at Bayern München. Bayern a 1.5 goal favorite. Over under is 3. And I got to say, Union are, I mean, so good to me. I mean, they got me a 2 advanced number. I did lose in the under today because they scored too many goals, unfortunately. But I guess that's good for them because I got the other half of it at a much better number with a multiplier. So that was good. I don't necessarily know that I can ever play an under 3 or an under with Bayern München just because I know they have so many goal scorers on their team and they can score in so many ways. But I'm tempted by Union and under. I think they're going to be very, very competitive here. Yes, it's going to be a really tough draw coming off of a Thursday Thankfully, it was a home match against Ajax, but they got to get some guys some rest, and that's going to be big. They're going to go on the road. They're going to play counterattacking football, and they're going to make it really tough on Bayern Munich to win. So I lean to Union getting a goal and a half, but I will not make that my selection for my best bet for this episode. I will say I'm going to go with Augsburg getting a quarter of a goal on the road at Hertha Berlin. I can't resist going against Hertha as a favorite. Yes, the market is clearly taking a stance and saying that they expect Hertha to play well, but like we've read the story, we've seen this report, we've heard that all before, and it has never really come true. Last but not least, I'm going to go to Ligue 1, and then of course in France, and then of course I'll go through and get my ultimate best bet out there, and then hopefully go to sleep, considering it is 12:39 local. On Friday, we have Lille hosting Stade Brestois. Currently, Lille a 1.25 goal favorite with all the juice right now. Over under is 2.75. Juice to the over. Lille have been playing well, but they have not really been this good. And pretty much Brest moving to a goal and a half underdog seems gigantic. I've been backing Stade Brestois quite a bit. Mixed results, some good ones, and I feel like some good performances, but I feel like they've been underpriced for a while, and I haven't really seen a reason to get off of it. Lille have been scoring a lot of goals, but I mean, this number is going to require a lopsided victory, and I just don't necessarily see it. I do think there could be some goals in this one. Brest will likely be trying to keep a clean sheet as their number one priority. But I think on the counterattack, they can score. And I think Lille are in a position where they're kind of ripe for the picking a little bit. Jose Font, not sure about his status, but he's been injured, and their backups and defense is kind of fallen apart when they've had to use other pieces. Moving to Saturday, we have Angers hosting Lyon. Currently, Angers a 3/4 goal underdog at home. Over under is 2.5, and juice to the over. I think Angers, they're the bottom side that look like they're dead. 4 teams go down. It's going to be really tough for them to stay in. They're going to have to try to play defense the whole time, but also pick up 3 points against Lyon, who are going to go out there guns blazing, trying to score 10 goals. Just doesn't feel like a good setup for Angers, for anything like that. But I would love for Angers to be favored again, because that was a really nice money-making opportunity. The nightcap on Saturday is Montpellier hosting Lens. Currently, Montpellier, a 0.5 goal underdog at home. All the juice on Lens on the road. Over-unders 2.5, juice to the under. Montpellier doesn't defend. They haven't for years. Lens are going to be on the front foot. The Sanka they're going to do their best, the blood and gold, to go and do as much as they can to score goals. I think this is not the type of match for me, I gotta say. Moving to Sunday, Lorient hosting Angers. Currently, Lorient a 1/4 goal favorite, very juiced right now, looking like it might climb to a half. Over under is 2.5. And I just don't believe in Lorient to score goals. They have sold off a lot of talent, and they weren't really getting a lot of respect from the marketplace before. This seems a little cheap for them, but I think it probably climbs to that 0.5 goal favorite. Angers, newly promoted side that are going to be hanging in, trying to get a goalless draw and just somehow scrape by with enough points to stay in Liga. It's not looking great for them, but they have defended pretty well, and I feel like they have some pretty big, intimidating pieces up front. Lorient want to counterattack, and I think it's going to be a stalemate here. So under 2.5 looks good to me there. Ajaccio then hosts Troyes. Relegation battle, because there's 1 million in this league. Ajaccio currently a 1/4 goal favorite at home. Over under is 2, juice to the over. Hard for me with the problems as Stade Troyes have had with their defense to want to back them, but I mean, as a 1/4 goal underdog at Ajaccio, where it's very unlikely to see goals in this one. Lean to under 2 as well, but probably prefer if that one hit 2.25, which it might based on the juice I'm looking at as we speak. Pretty ugly matchup, I'll say. Probably won't even be broadcast anywhere. Clermont Foot then hosts Strasbourg. Currently Clermont, I pick them right now. All the juice, over under is 2.25. And I gotta say, I'm very interested in Strasbourg because Kevin Gamera is playing well. Habib Diallo is scoring every match, it seems. It's only a pick 'em as we speak, but odds are getting odds right now. So potentially that climbs to 1/4. And Clermont, I've been backing them a lot over the 2 seasons they've been in the Liga. Unfortunately, their goals have dried up completely. They have not scored at all. And it's really hard to back a team, especially as a favorite, if you can't score. So that's interesting to me. Also, along those lines, lean to under 2.25. Strasbourg are trying to climb themselves out of relegation trouble. I think they will before the end of the season, and this feels like a good spot to back them. Stade de Reims then hosts Toulouse. Currently, Reims a 1/4 goal favorite with all the juice right now. Over under is 2.75, juice the over. I mean, the will still love affair is incredible. But Toulouse, I mean, took an early lead against Marseille. Had a couple set piece issues on corners and fell behind 2-1, then 3-1, got a goal back, and then they blew the whistle right on 4 minutes, despite a goal in extra time that should have pushed it even further. Referee didn't help. I mean, just not a great weekend for referees and my bets. I'll put it that way. But Toulouse, they're going to be offensive. They're going to go after you. Rems are going to probably flourish in that type of situation. Balogun has been playing so well. But I do think Rems is a big favorite. Doesn't really quantify or qualify. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If they move to a half a goal favorite, I'll be very interested in seeing if I can bet back to loose there. I feel like it's tough for me to have an over-under lean, though. Nantes then hosts Rennes. Currently, Nantes, a quarter goal underdog at home. Over-under is 2.25. Juice to the over. Nantes, I mean, players dropping like flies. Trying to play Europa League against Juve is really tough. They had a really good first result, but everything went wrong today. I guess Palois got some good rest because he was red carded in like the 20th minute, so that helped. But this feels like a really short number. I'm kind of not interested in playing unders with Rennes right now. They had also to play in Europe and avenge a deficit against. They were at home, fortunately, but against Shakhtar Donetsk. And I feel like that might zap some legs. So I mean, I guess I'm more and more interested, especially not at home, knowing that they want to defend. We'll see what their lineup looks like and who's available and healthy. I guess under 2.25 would be my strongest lean there. Next, we'll go Monaco and Nice. Monaco, a half a goal favorite. All the juice on Nice right now, over is 2.5, slightly juice to the over. Nice have been playing really well. And I mean, they have been scoring a lot, which is something that was a question about them earlier in the season. Monaco coming off an extra time exit from Europa League. That's tough. They are super deep, but they have been selling some players. So, I mean, I think it's a good spot to back Nice. It's certainly scary to back Monaco, but also at home, I feel like it's a place to do it because Monaco has no crowd to even speak of. Nice are pretty close to Monaco as well. Probably far less travel, definitely far less travel, and than most matches. And I got to say, I think Nice have been really competitive, so I'm interested in that one quite a bit. Last but not least, the nightcap, Le Classique, Marseille hosts PSG. And I got to say, it's crazy to see this, but Marseille only a pick 'em right now. More juice on the PSG side. Over under is 3, juice the under. I feel like Marseille outplayed them in the Coupe de France earlier, probably a couple weeks ago now, but I don't see why that wouldn't happen again. Marseille with nothing midweek to distract them as they've crashed out of Europe already. This is a big matchup. This is going to be very aggressive, emotional, especially at l'Orange Velodrome. This match just happened, went really well for Marseille, and I think it could do that same sort of thing could happen again. Lean to Marseille. Would love to see them getting a quarter before this kicks off. So come on, PSG money. Come in. For my best bet for France, I'm going to go with Angers under 2.5. I just don't think that there's goals in that matchup. Lorient as potentially a bigger favorite, moving a half of a goal. I could see being interested in the underdog there as well. I just don't really believe that there are going to be goals in that one. So now we've come to the best bet portion, I guess the end portion of the show. I'm going to turn the Instagram camera on, fix my hair, and hopefully see that this all works exactly as we want. So this is Betting the Pitch, episode number 170 for my ultimate best bet portion of the show. I'll summarize my best bets from each of the countries we're covering. I like Nottingham Forest under 2.25 in the English Premier League. I like Valladolid under 2.25 in La Liga. Spezia under 2.5 in Italy. Augsburg getting a quarter of a goal. It's a side interest in the Bundesliga. And last but not least, Angers under 2.5 in Ligue. For my best bet, my ultimate best bet, the best of them all, I'm going to go with Football Club Augsburg plus a quarter of a goal on the road at Hertha Berlin in the Bundesliga. I just feel like Hertha are fighting relegation in a really disastrous type of position, and I think they're going to have really troubles staying in the league. They barely survived a relegation playoff last season, and now they got to win at home. They haven't won in a long time. I guess they did beat Gladbach a couple weeks ago, but I don't believe it. I think it's gonna be really tough for them to get a win, and I think a draw is probably a decent result for them, and it wins you a full bet, or at least a quarter of a bet on Augsburg. And that'll do it for this episode of Betting the Pitch, number 171. I appreciate all your support. If you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. If you're on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, leave a 5-star review. I will read it on the podcast. I forgot to do that today. If you're on Twitter, smash the follow button, the real_G Warner. And I guess while I'm here, I also got to give a promo code out just so everyone has it. So thanks for sticking around. The last part, use the promo code Madrid20, get 20% off for all listeners of the Soccer Podcast on pregame.com. Good for any of my stuff. I'm usually putting it out there overnight to try to get it in your hands as quickly as possible. Of course, follow my co-host, AJ Hoffman. He's putting out college basketball picks, UFC picks if you're into the fighting stuff. It's not really my cup of tea, but thank you all for joining, for support, and I really appreciate it. Going to try to keep this going as long as possible. Of course, big stuff coming through with college basketball coming up soon. We're going to do an extra podcast on championship week or the conference tournament week, and that's going to be great. Baseball around the corner as well, so everyone keep your eyes peeled. It's got hit 1,300 followers on Twitter today. Hoping to be 13 million soon. So thanks for all the help, and I look forward to you joining me on the route to get there. Thanks so much.